In this video, we're going to talk about the reservoir and the nutrients and a situation that develops. As you can see here, we have a little sample reservoir. It's a little 5-gallon reservoir, but for our purposes, it'll work fine. Normally, we dose our reservoir with nutrients and pH and get it all ready. In an NFT system, we have a little pump in there that's taking the water out continuously, cycling it through the channels, and brings it back. That in itself causes a stirring action because the water is circulating and basically splashing back in. In our S-pan systems or any other bucket system, there's a timer on the motor so that the circulating motor will come on maybe at 6 in the morning for 20 minutes, 10 in the morning, noon, 3, and back at 6 again, and circulate water. You'll change the intervals and the time depending on moisture readings of the soil in your buckets. The big problem with that is, although it's very, very useful and your roots don't drown, is the fact that your nutrients will tend to stratify in the liquid. That means they'll separate, so they need a constant source of movement to keep them stirred. There are electrical stirrers that can be placed inside the reservoir. However, that causes a additional electric cord, more electric use, and can be a problem because they will get gunked up. The other solution is have somebody come around and 2 or 3 times a day stir the water with a spoon or something like that. That isn't going to work either. What we have found out, is to use a properly sized AirStone. The ones that we found that work the best have these square ends so they don't roll around. They'll sit flat and they're weighted so that they actually will sit along the bottom. Some of the cheaper AirStones, they will float and get out of position, and we really don't want that with these particular AirStones. We want an AirStone to either sit in the corner opposite the pump would be here, the AirStone would be here, so that the rising bubbles create a circulation inside the reservoir and keeping the nutrients stirred. Remember, we use bottom suction pumps so that this is down at the bottom working up, and that'll bring the water in, and then of course the pump will suck the water as it comes down. We usually position our drains very close to the pumps. On the parts of the AirStone, you can see this one is quite small, but it'll actually work if you'll put 2 of them in a 30-gallon reservoir. It'll be more than enough stirring action. You'll get just enough stirring action. In addition, you'll keep oxygen bubbling through the water and your nutrients will be stirred. Another important piece that needs to be added into this in your airline, is a check valve. As you can see, it's very small. It has an arrow on it so you know which way the air can flow. You do not, in certain cases where, for example, you're cleaning your reservoir and you shut it down, you don't want the water to work its way up through capillary action into the rest of your air system. You want to keep your air system dry. So you always want to put a small check valve in the system very close to the pump. We've assembled an AirStone assembly here, as you can see. It has a piece of air hose on it. It's just wedged on there. Usually what we'll do is use a heat gun, heat up the plastic enough so it fits on there very, very, very tightly. In addition, we have a small trailer. We have a small trailer on here that goes up to the check valve. And then in this particular case, we're using a small solenoid type air pump. So we place the AirStone in flat up against as far as you can go. Make sure the check valve is above the top of the bucket. In this case, I'm just going to kind of hook it in over here so it doesn't go nuts on us. And then if my assistant can plug in the air compressor, we'll see how the bubbles work. There you go. So you can see how the bubbles are working, and if you look closely at the surface of the water is flowing over the top, and it'll actually go down to the bottom and come back up and keep recirculating. in our larger systems, we actually use an air compressor, a very silent air compressor, and that also has a regulating valve on it. I didn't show the regulating valve in this one, but this, for example, is probably a little bit too strong of an airflow. It looks cool, but you may get frothing in your nutrients. Okay, so I adjusted the airflow down to about half, and you can see this is it's not as violent, but the flow is still about the same, and it'll work really, really, really well to keep your nutrients in suspension. Now, periodically, when you're cleaning your reservoir, you will have to clean your AirStone. The check valve will keep any of the nutrient water from getting back into the line because it will siphon in. So when you take it out, okay, the best thing to do is have spare AirStones, so you can put this one in for cleaning, and then just quickly install the new one. I recommend doing the check valve and the AirStone cleaning at the same time. One important thing when you're taking a new AirStone, you don't immediately put it inside the reservoir and just start using it. Okay, you must soak it 8 hours. Just a plain bucket of RO water or even tap water, whatever kind of water you're using, you just drop it in and let it sit for 8 hours. Then, which is a shift, you can use it the next day. That's required for making sure that all of your pores, okay, are wet. They do expand a little bit, and then you get even airflow all the way around. Like I said, these particular AirStones, because of their shape, okay, air will come from the bottom, come from the top, they'll come together and they'll actually form like a curtain. And then that curtain is what gives the stirring action to the reservoir. Thank you.